Hi, my name is Juri Love. My website is Juri, Juri, love, love.com. This is my book called A Gift from Adversity, Overcoming Sexual Abuse, Domestic Violence, Bullying, and Homelessness. And this is my true story. It took me about 5 years to write. And last year, it became Amazon #1 new release in 3 different categories when it got published. I just want to talk about the process of publishing a book. And my publisher is Book Logics from Atlanta, Georgia. Now, a lot of people ask me about how did you publish your book and some ways. So I just want to go over a couple of things. You can always self-publish on an Amazon platform. My son did that too. But then I'm a journalist. I've written about 300 articles. And then sometimes you have problem in press because less credibility when you do self-publishing. So if you can avoid it, that would be great. And if you cannot, that's okay. If you want to just do quick book and then publish on Amazon, that's okay. But when you go through a publishing company, there are two different ways, two different companies, types of companies. So one is called Vanity and one is called Traditional. So Vanity was mine. Company is my publisher, BookLogic. So Vanity, basically, they charge you upfront of all the process, editing and copyright, everything. And so that's Vanity. You pay upfront, but they don't take your royalty. So every time you sell the book, it's basically 100% that comes to you. Traditional, however, style of publishing is they don't charge you upfront. However, every time you sell the book, they'll take percentage, usually 10 to 15%. So that means you pay some amount upfront for Vanity, but then every time you sell, the publisher's contract is basically done after you publish your book. However, the traditional style, it's like lifelong relationship that every time you sell the book, they will take away the fee, basically the royalty. So what happens is, what if you sell $100,000 worth your book? Then basically traditional publishers, they will take 10-15% from it. However, the Vanity, you pay upfront, and after that, you don't have to worry about it. So if you are thinking about either Vanity or Traditional, I did Vanity, and then so as my friend Yosef, because we are from the same publisher. But that is your choice. Obviously, self-publishing or go through the publisher, and then either Vanity or Traditional, and then you can go to library or online and then find it. And then also, the title, like the category of your book, what is your book about? And if you have an author that you like, and then your book is similar to that style, you can always contact the publisher of that book. At the end, there's always information, and then pitch an idea, and then sometimes query letters. But I did the query letters, but it's really hard to get through it. So now I would say the best way is if you have a friend who had published their books through a publisher, just don't be shy to ask, who is your publisher? Would you please introduce me to your publisher? And that's exactly what happened. And that's what happened to my friend who was ready to publish his book, and he was thinking about self-publishing, but I introduced him to BookLogics, my publisher, and his book got published as well. So that is the publication process of it. But now let's think about the content. So obviously you have to come up with a title. And in my case, once you have the title and testimonials, which is important, so I have 2 wonderful testimonials with and then your biography. So, and when you are doing the cover, I usually recommend fiverr.com. My amazing graphic artist from Fiverr, Rebecca Covers, she did this. Basically, I sent the picture and then the title, and then she put this together, and then I sent this testimonial, so she did that too. Now, I think no, actually, book cover, just this one. I'm sorry, this one. My publisher did that. So, anyways, so Fiverr.com is amazing. Like, they are really, really great. You can go to graphic artist and then pay like $10, $20 instead of like sometimes publisher ask you like $500 or something, so you can save a lot of money. But now after you do this cover and then photos and all that stuff, and then you go to a content, so obviously the title, but then before content you come up with the epigraph. Epigraph is like a quotation. You can use somebody's quotation, but my case, I came up with my original, which is the sooner you can find the courage to accept your adversity, the sooner you can pave a positive path in your precious life. So this is my original epigraph. And then I remember like driving Uber Eats, and then my publisher asked me, so what's your epigraph? Do you want to use somebody else? I'm like, oh, let me think about it. So I came up with it. So definitely think about epigraph. And it goes to contents. Ooh. So it goes contents. So the contents usually have prologues, chapters, epilogue, and then my gratitude and a biography. So the contents definitely, when you are writing a book, come up with cool chapter titles. So my prologue is The Dead Sea, and then chapter 1 is Heroes Among Us, and chapter 2, Process. Chapter 3, From Homelessness to Berkeley College of Music. Chapter 4, Funding Genuine Voices, which was my nonprofit organization. We helped to teach music to juvenile offenders. And chapter 5, Black and White. Chapter 6, Hope and the Message of Happiness. And chapter 7, My Message. And then epilogue. Chapter 6, Hope and the Meaning of Happiness. And chapter 7, My Message. And the epilogue is A Lesson from Lions and My Gratitude. So come up with this contents. And then obviously before the prologue, I had this quick poetry like writing, and then it goes to caution. I actually put caution here, and also starting from the prologue. So go through that. Couple things that I learned the process of the publication. So if you are mentioning somebody's names, unless otherwise they are Googleable or Wikipediable, you can't use first and last name unless you have permission from them. So if you are using like, say, I don't know, very famous person's name, they have no problem with that. But your neighbor, your friends, you have to get a permission that they can be mentioned in the book. But then I had that problem. I had like a lot of people that I mentioned, but I have maybe a lot of people that my publisher said I had to get permission, or you can just use the first name. However, if you use the first name, but their workplace, say a police officer at this town, that's identifiable, so you can't do that. So anyways, when you are writing the book, just be careful. And also, when you are getting a testimonials, I would recommend getting a testimonial from diversity, different occupations, and then credentials. So if you have one, maybe somebody in the community, or one in academic setting or something, just diversify that. You can get maybe at least two testimonials for your book. So that's important. Now when it comes to writing, obviously that's your creative part of it, but I would really recommend setting a timer or setting a deadline, because obviously like publishing your book is a process, and then time goes by and then I'm not sure. So I have a friend right now who's trying to publish a book, and I gave him a deadline, and that's exactly what happened to me. I was thinking about publishing a book and writing here and there, but my son's karate teacher said, oh, can you finish in 30 days? So I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyways, I took that challenge and I finished in 30 days because I had draft, but I just didn't have anything. So to make a deadline for yourself is really, really good tip, good advice that I had, and I'm just giving to my friend as well. So another thing is, once you have this chapter and contents, then work each chapter at a time, and then make sure that it's strategic. So mine starts with Dead Sea in Israel, floating, when I was really depressed, really down at the bottom of the earth, basically the lowest point of the earth, and I was really low. So that's how I start my prologue. But then chapter 1, I will rise up and then get an award from Boston Celtics standing ovation by 17,000 people. So there's a contrast there. And then it goes back to like my childhood core process, where I was sexually abused or domestic violence, bullying, and escaped from my father when I was 13, and then became homeless. But after that, I just kind of follow my life in the timeline, and then so my message has like three portions. Chapter 7, that's my favorite chapter, to the victim, to the perpetrator, to the family and friends around the victims. So once you have these messages or techniques or whatever, that make sure you put that in a chapter. And then also, if you want to mention some of the organizations, say in my case, which I talked about, Me Too movement and stuff. So I mentioned about the organization called RAIN or Darkness to Light. So you can mention like, website or hotlines and stuff. So that's another thing. So my overall experience in publishing book has been very, very positive. So after I published my book, I've gotten a lot of interviews by podcasters. Thank you to my fans who had interviewed me, and I was at the conference. And I want to inspire people by telling my story. It was very challenging at a time, but and I felt really compelled because I was doing a lot of motivational speech and speaking gig beforehand, and they asked me a lot, do you have a book, and I said I don't have a book, but now I do. If you have any opportunities for me to speak at your conference or event or maybe podcast, TV show, please contact me. My email is juripanda, Juri Panda, juripanda@gmail.com. My Instagram is juripanda, JURIPANDA. So I hope this video is kind of useful, helpful. And again, if you have a story to tell, and if you feel compelled to do it, I highly encourage you to try publishing your book.